Follow is a drama. Thought it was a thriller, but it's a drama, trust me. Set deep in the Appalachian Mountains, where there is a religious group that is using deadly poisonous snakes to test those that follow. When the preacher's daughter, played by Alice Englert, learns that she has a secret that will destroy said community, we wait for the entire film to play out for that to happen. Now, you may have heard good things about this coming out of Sundance or any other festivals, as did I, and being the horror junkie that I am, I need any and all suspense, mystery, thriller, anything, all of it, give it to me. And this movie had plenty of interest from me. I love cult shit, stuff in the mountains, movies with great casts. It has it all. What could I not be interested in? I have to say, I was not sure that I could actually watch this movie, and I have to explain that so you understand my viewing experience of this film, because I have a deep and genuine fear of snakes. I am terrified by snakes. I don't like to watch movies with snakes in them. I don't like to see them at all. I cannot go in the reptile house at the zoo. I have to stay away. I don't even like CGI snakes. I love cheesy creature features, and I can't even watch Anaconda or any of the movies trying to be Anaconda. I can't do it. Like, I know we all have our things. Heights is even one for me, where I'm like, gravity will legitimately end you. But snakes are my irrational fear, where I say, I don't care if it's a tiny little baby snake slithering around in your garden. I will run a mile in any direction to get away from it, because it can probably swallow you whole, probably. Like, it might. So I honestly wasn't sure what to do with this movie. I was interested, and I thought, you know what? Since it's playing at the theater near me, I'll just watch the trailer just to test myself, just to see. And after I watched it, I said, nope. Oh, when I saw the level of snake action on display, I just said, this is not going to be for me. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't even planning on seeing it. I was going to go see a different movie entirely, but my work shift ran late, and then that followed just so happened to be the only thing playing at a convenient time. How in the hell is the Snake Cult movie the only thing playing at 7:30 on the weekend? I do not know, but I did it. I went and saw it. The things I will do for 0 views, I tell you. I'm partially glad that I watched the trailer to understand the amount of snake action I was going to be dealing with, because otherwise I would have walked out. I would not have been able to do it, especially the main event that is spoiled at the end. If I was not waiting for that the entire film, I would have been gone. I would have been like a cartoon. I would have ran straight through the wall. While this movie wasn't actually a horror film, it played like one for me because of all of the different sequences involving snakes throughout the film. I watched it like this a lot. I watched the wall. I was up here. I did a little of this. I did one of these a little bit. I did one of these. But as for the actual storyline, it's all laid out for you as soon as you realize it's a forbidden love story. Well, you've seen one, you've seen them all. And this one takes so long to play out all of the basic beats and doesn't really do anything in the meantime as far as setting up any characters or anything. It's also cut and dry. You see our characters are really only here to play their role. They're just roles, not characters. They just have to do their thing to contribute to the overarching story. And it doesn't really give you anything. There's really no connection to anyone here. Our heroine, even, her defining trait is that she blindly follows her snake cult preacher dad, and that's really kind of irritating. But let's talk about the stellar cast, because that's what this movie has going for it. And while there are 6 main roles that pretty much just drive plot, there are 6 good actors who make this material work enough to be watchable, I would say, if you just want to see this cast in action. So Alice Englert plays our main character, Mara. She is the daughter of Walton Goggins' character, and she has the big scene towards the end, which is my actual nightmare, so I give her all the credit in the world for doing that. I don't really think she has a problem carrying this film, but she's given such little material to do that she doesn't really get an opportunity to shine outside of what is physically demanded of her. Thomas Mann plays her love interest, who I've always liked him. He seems like a nice guy. He really works in this sympathetic role. I think it was a good casting move, and I like him in this movie. Caitlin Dever plays the supportive friend to Mara, and she was in Booksmart earlier this year, where I have to be honest, I thought she had a couple of weak spots, but Here, I thought she did a really good job with this small role. She really made the limited material work, so I give her credit there. And Lewis Pullman plays the guy that, Mara just is not into, that doesn't want to be with. He has a really interesting task in that he has to be like not taken seriously and kind of seen as like a pussy, but also trying to be menacing. He did a good job. I think he really made that work. But we got to talk about the standouts because obviously Walton Goggins and Olivia Colman knock it out of the park in this movie. Every scene with Walton Goggins being crazy snake preacher, it was just like as much as I had to turn away from the actual snakes, I was just like, this is just, it feels so right. It's just so easily watchable. He's just so good at Dylan. He brings the proper gravitas to the role. I just wish he had a little bit more complexity to him other than just bad guy. But of course, the MVP is Olivia Colman. Oh my goodness, she is so good in this movie. She has a couple of different scenes that I was just like, wow, you are so good. Not overdoing it at all, but just performing so damn well. If this were any other movie, I would say remember her for that supporting actress category come awards time. But I don't think this movie's gonna gain that kind of traction. However, if you do just want to see her act, if you're interested in it, this movie is worth it for Olivia Colman's performance alone, honestly. Back to the film though, there were some editing choices and technical issues that I just didn't really care for. Like the cinematography chooses to be good at times and then chooses to be completely uninspired other times. We have these great locations to work with that are right there in the backdrop, yet we're so focused on our characters' close ups. And it's like, how about just write a decent scene of dialogue for these characters and use your resources you have to work with to punch up your movie a little bit? I mean, it just felt so flat. So much of this movie did. It was very unfortunate. And there was one editing move that, normally I wouldn't harp on this, but there is a scene where it's just, to be vague, it's just, preacher doing his thing with his people, handling the snakes and doing his sermon. There's one scene in particular where you have Walton Goggins being crazy snake preacher, and Jim Gaffigan, who was just in this movie, is getting really into it and feeling the Holy Spirit. And there's a shot of him holding his hand up, getting really into it. Very next shot, it's a wide of the group, and he's just standing there, just kind of plainly watching, just not really into it. And I understand if maybe you don't get all of the shots you need and you're trying to do what you can in the editing room, but like, if you don't have that proper next shot to transition to, well then it just looks really weak. And it honestly, I wouldn't normally harp on that, but it took me out of the movie and I had to mention it. Overall, I mean, this film, I liked a lot of what it was trying to do, but I didn't care for the execution. The message is so simple and basic that it becomes quite ham-fisted, quite fast. I don't know if you've heard, but religious extremism is bad. It's bad. Yeah, I certainly didn't need to face my ophidiophobia and deal with a bunch of snake biting shit in order to get the message. I really think that this should have just been a short or just not exist, to be perfectly honest. If you want to see this cast in action, then I say go for it because they all do a really great job of trying to make this material work. But otherwise, I would say you could just completely skip it. I'm going to give them that follow a 2.5 out of 5. Again, I think it had things going for it. There were great performances. There was some there, but it just didn't fully come together. So unfortunately, it's just a mixed bag for me. But now I have to talk about some spoiler stuff. So if you really want to see this, tune out. If you really don't care, you should really go watch the film for yourself because honestly, my words about it aren't going to do the actual experience justice. You should form your own opinion. But I have to talk about some things because it almost feels like there's no point in even really talking about this movie if you're not going to get into the meat of it. So now I've been rambling, and if you haven't turned it off, it is now time to talk about the spoilers. 3, 2, 1. Now is when I'm going to tell you that. So basically, you can really figure it out so quickly. Mara, our main character, she's pregnant. She's pregnant with the other dude's baby, but she's getting married to another guy. Oh no, what is she gonna do? So it takes forever just of her going around thinking maybe she's pregnant, stealing a pregnancy test, figuring out she's pregnant, becoming promised to Lewis Pullman's character. So they're about to get married. And she's got to have a gyno checkup before marriage, is community rules here in the religious cult. And so Olivia Colman performs a little procedure and discovers she's pregnant. And I think immediately is like, that is totally my son's baby and not the baby of this guy you're about to be marrying. Uh-oh. But so the character of Thomas Mann, he like tries to do right by everyone. He's not even really in the community. He's not about it. He's just trying to go live his own life outside of all of the snake handling madness. He goes to one of their meetings and he says that he needs to atone for his sins. He like I give the character, credit here. I really like this move that he goes up in front of everyone and handles the snake for the cleansing for the of his sins and everything. And wouldn't you know it, the damn snake bites his arm and then he's down and it was like, oh god, fucking snakes are biting people and shit, this is not good. Obviously, his ass is poisoned. And what does everyone start doing now that we've finally gotten into some genuine conflict in this film? They lay him down and tell him to just hold tight and keep praying, and everyone's praying for him, and we're gonna pray the venom away. That is such bullshit. It is so infuriating. It is so hard to watch. Even our main character, Mara, even though she loves this dude, she's like, we'll just keep praying. And it's like, I don't think that's gonna work. He keeps saying, it's like, no, I need a hospital. I'm dying. And it's like a couple days go by, we see his arm get worse and worse and worse. Oh my god, it's awful. He like cuts his arm open and tries to suck out the venom, and it's, oh man, it gets kind of nasty. So what I really didn't care for is I didn't even realize that Olivia Colman and Jim Gaffigan were supposed to be playing a couple in this movie until it matters. Our son is bitten by a snake and poisoned, and we gotta do something. And as I mentioned before in that scene that I didn't care for the editing, like we see Jim Gaffigan as like the super into it, he's handling the snakes, he's so into this thing, and Olivia Colman seems to be doing her own thing. She's like running a store. You would think that she would be very rational and want to get her son to the hospital, but instead it's Jim Gaffigan's character who's like, we gotta get him, we gotta take care of him, and she's like, no, we gotta keep praying, we just gotta pray. And I understand this could be faith under pressure, like it's a flip-flop because but there wasn't enough actual character work. I didn't even realize they were supposed to be in a relationship. I didn't even get that Thomas Mann's character was their son until it was like, I guess I thought they were just placed in scenes together. That's what it really looks like. So Caitlin Deaver's character and Alice Englund's character start having a conversation where they're like, he's gonna die, and our main girl, the protagonist, is like, no, he made it through the first night, and as if to say there have been others who did not make it past the first night, and it's like, oh my god, what are we even doing here? How many people have been killed by the snakes? What is happening? Like, all of my worst fears are coming to play here, and I'm just like, oh my god. And so yes, as things keep going on and going on, we do not get Thomas Mann to the hospital at all. We get to see his arm go from bad to worse, and worse and worse and worse, and it just looks horrible. It's so bad. Jim Gaffigan's character gets himself a buzzsaw and straight up amputates that damn arm, but we don't see it. There's like nothing. I don't know why this movie is R. There's like no real violence, okay? So he's there and bad arm amputated, and they still are not taking him to the hospital. This is where we get to the scene that is my night. I never want to watch this ever again because of this. So bad. Walton Goggins' character, he like straight up rips Mara right off the street, takes her into, I don't know, a little church or whatever, where one of their buildings, okay? Cult life. And gets a snake out to cleanse her, and he just puts it on her shoulders, and it starts going all over her. But she handles it, the snake is cool, and she just pulls it right off and is like, cool, I'm cleansed. And then she's basically like, yo, I'm out, screw this. I'm gonna go get my man, and I'm done. And he's like, if you leave, don't ever come. And then she leaves. And it's like, yeah, duh, no, hello, I'm not dealing with you and your bullshit anymore. She gets a car, she picks up Thomas Mann's ass, he can barely move, she gets him in the car, and I guess they're driving to the hospital? I don't know. The movie ends. I was so disappointed. In my theater, the lights went up before it even hit the credits. I just was like, really? We're just gonna end right now? Like, I do get the whole point was the character needed to break free from the religious ideology that had her trapped in this vicious cycle. There wasn't enough actual character work throughout the movie where I really bought any of it. I kept thinking, what the hell is going to happen now? Is Thomas Mann's character dead? Is what's going to happen to the rest of the cult? Like, there were so many questions that I didn't care to really be asking until now. None of it wraps up the way that it needs to. I just was very dissatisfied by this film. It was, for parts, the most intense experience I've had in the theater this year, and for the rest of it, one of the most dull experiences I've had. It was just very boring. It was a slog. I was just waiting for things to happen, and the things that were happening were things I really didn't want to see. So this was certainly not a movie for me. It might work for you. Again, I always say, make your own opinion, make your own video, make your own rating, do your own thing. Of course, have your own thoughts, but for me personally, I would not recommend it. I would only say that this is worth watching for the cast. That's it. Those are my thoughts on the film Them That Follow. Thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hit like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video.